Body condition score 7 cows are fleshy. The ends of the spinous processes can only be felt with firm pressure. In these cows, the spaces between the processes can barely be distinguished. Fat cover on either side of the tail head exists with evident patchiness. A cow in body condition score 7 would have about 25% body fat, enough to grade USDA choice if maturity is ignored. Body condition score 8 cows are very fleshy and take on a smooth, blocky appearance. Bone structure disappears from sight and fat cover is thick and spongy. Patchiness is likely, especially in the brisket and around the tail head. Producers must be cautious, however, not to be distracted by factors that can be confusing as they begin to assign body condition scores.
As producers do learn to condition score, there are some things that they need to keep into consideration to try to minimize the fluctuations in the condition scores they see. One of these would be the amount of fill on the cows. You always should try to do your evaluations either prior in the mornings or in the evenings. Try to concentrate a time frame when the fill on the cattle might be similar. Also, the amount of hair that those cattle have can cover up some of the prominence of the bone structure, and if you got longer haired cattle, you may not see the prominence of those ribs, the vertebral column be quite as apparent. So you really have to learn to look beneath some of those things. The other one that I find really throws some people is the amount of muscle that cows have. Heavier muscled cattle we typically call heavier conditioned cattle when maybe they are starting to lose some weight and starting to slide a little bit in condition score. So those three factors are reasons that I think you need to identify someone in your operation to do the condition scoring throughout each time during the year and as much as you can from year to year. That takes out some of the individual subjectivity of the condition scoring operation where you do get more uniformity in what you're calling a 5 or a 4 from year to year and season to season.
We're often asked the question, does the Bos Indicus type cow need more body condition than would, say, a Bos Taurus type? We really don't have a lot of good data on that, but if you look at it from a practical standpoint, I think what we have to remember is, one, that the Bos Indicus type cow does not have as long a hair coat. Consequently, she does not have as much insulation as she would otherwise compared to the Bos Taurus. The second thing is her light hair color. And when those two things are combined, you get a situation where perhaps she's a bit more stressed in the cooler environment than would be the Bos Taurus animal. So a Bos Indicus, I think it's wise if we can go to a body condition of about 6 on those cows at the time of calving. And I think that's even more important if they were Bos Indicus type cows calving in the fall of the year and going through the winter with a calve at side. Of course, that's a tough part of the year for any type of animal from a nutrition standpoint, but maybe even more difficult for the Bos Indicus cow because of her light hair coat and the lack of having enough hair during the winter compared to the Bos Taurus.
Body condition scoring gives producers a quick and accurate means of evaluating the energy reserves of their cow herd. Producers who have the ability to evaluate energy reserves can begin to take advantage of opportunities in their operations to optimize reproduction and contain costs. Energy supplementation is often the focus of discussions as producers attempt to increase cow body condition when necessary. However, it is important to remember that providing additional energy supplementation to cows does little good unless protein and other nutrients.
The cows fed correctly as opposed to just taking sort of a reactionary mode, and once the cold weather hits we decide that now it's time to really lay out the forages and some kind of supplement.
If producers are going to reach high levels of reproductive performance and maintain profitability, they need to recognize differences in body energy reserves that exist in their herd and understand that factors other than the cow's plane of nutrition can affect her condition score. For example, a cow may appear to be easy fleshing when, in reality, she either lost her calf, failed to rebreed, or produced less milk. Phenotypically, some cows may not fit into certain production environments and may always appear thinner than others.
We often get asked by producers, once they've identified a cow that may be a little bit thin, let's say that she's a condition score 4 at the beginning of the last trimester of gestation, and their target is a condition score 5 at calving time, how can we feed these cows? Well, we've developed a net energy system called NE-delta, or net energy for weight change, that will allow a producer to program the energy levels in these diets so that these cows will gain about 80 pounds of actual body weight during the last trimester and achieve that body condition score 5 at the time of calving. Subsequently, if a cow is thin at calving time, we may have to push those cows also a little bit so that they get to be a condition score 5 by the beginning of the breeding season. And the net energy system, or NE-delta, will allow us to put together diets that will allow that to happen.
The net energy system was developed to account for differences in energy utilization between cattle that vary in weight, body condition, physiological function, and stage of production. Energy requirements are defined for beef cows as net energy for maintenance, net energy for conceptus or fetal growth, net energy for lactation, net energy for gain, and net energy for cow weight change. Beef nutritionists use standardized equations that are based upon these energy requirements to develop feeding recommendations and programs for the cow herd. Energy used for the maintenance of cow weight, fetal growth, and lactation are all used with similar efficiency, and these can be added together to obtain total maintenance energy required for the cow on a daily basis. Energy used for gain, or weight change, however, is utilized with lower efficiency than energy used for maintenance functions and must be calculated separately. The NEM requirement of a cow increases as cow weight increases. For example, the energy requirement of an 1,100-pound, non-pregnant, non-lactating cow is 8.13 megacals daily, while a 1,250-pound cow requires 8.95 megacals, and a 1,400-pound cow requires 9.75 megacals. The energy requirements increase with advancing stages of pregnancy. Since about 75% of fetal growth occurs during the last trimester of gestation, it is critical that diets be adjusted for this increased energy demand by the fetus. If we assume an 80-pound calf birth weight, conceptus weight increases from about 8 pounds to approximately 128 pounds as pregnancy advances from 100 to 280 days. The energy required to support the developing fetus and associated membranes is tied directly to the calf's birth weight. During the last trimester of gestation, the average daily energy required to maintain fetal growth for a 60-pound calf is 1.63 megacals per day. The energy requirement for a 120-pound calf increases to 3.25 megacals per day. This increased daily requirement for heavier birth weight calves is the primary reason why cows that produce heavy birth weight calves and twins are usually thinner in body condition at calving than cows that produce a single light birth weight calf. Lactation also increases the daily maintenance energy requirement of cows. For example, cows that produce 10 pounds of milk require 3.4 megacals of additional energy per day, above the energy required for maintenance of cow weight. Similarly, cows producing more milk will require additional feed energy. In other words, high milking cows require 3 times the additional energy necessary to support milk production. Cold stress also increases the maintenance energy requirements of a cow. A practical rule of thumb is that for each 10-degree drop in wind chill below 30 degrees Fahrenheit, the energy needs for a cow in moderate body condition with a winter hair coat increase by 13%. The energy needs for the same cow that is thin or has a wet hair coat increase by 30% for each 10-degree drop in wind chill below 30 degrees. This means that a thin cow experiencing a wind chill of 0 degrees Fahrenheit has an increased energy requirement of 90%, while a dry cow in moderate condition requires only 39% more energy.
We have discussed the maintenance energy requirements of cows and the factors that affect these requirements, and now we need to consider the energy required to change cow weight. Our goal should be to program cow weight so that cows reach a target body condition score by a specified time. In order to program weight change in cows, we need to consider the net energy for weight change, or NE delta. The net energy required for a cow to change 1 pound of weight differs upon the cow's body condition score. Thin cows require less energy to gain 1 pound of weight than fat cows because they are depositing primarily protein. Fat cows, on the other hand, require considerably more energy to gain 1 pound of weight because they are depositing primarily fat. It takes 2¼ times more energy for a cow to deposit a pound of fat than it does to deposit a pound of protein. We now have the information necessary to calculate the cow's energy requirements to create a change in body energy reserves so that she can reach a target body condition score. For example, assume a producer has sorted a set of mature cows that are currently in a body condition score of 4. The cows are 100 days from calving, and their average scale weight is about 1,120 pounds. The producer realizes the importance of calving at a body condition score of 5. Assuming a change in body condition score represents a 75-pound change in weight, the cows must weigh an average of almost 1,200 pounds just after they calve. For this example, let's assume that the calf birth weight averages 95 pounds. To calculate the energy content necessary in the ration, we have to determine the average cow weight over the 100-day feeding period.
Requirements are met. Therefore, an understanding of body energy reserves and the nutrient requirements of the cow herd are both critical success factors for today's beef producer.